Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. Say, did you hear about that red ship and that blue ship that collided? The sailors were marooned. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Star Trek Discovery Black Alert from WizKids.
We'll get back to the review in just a moment. I want to take a minute to ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, books on history, military history. I even post some of my lectures for my classes on there. Please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. And now, back to the review.
In Star Trek Discovery Black Alert from WizKids, 2 to 4 players take on the roles of either the crew of the USS Discovery from our universe or the crew of the ISS Charon from the Mirror universe as they attempt to cross paths and do battle and engage in all sorts of kooky space adventures. Now, the game board is essentially a map of a region of space. You're going to go ahead and place down a number of tiles that are oriented in such a way that they align with various spore tracks. Again, you're using the spore drive here from the TV show, and you're going to follow along the spore drive tracks as you move. At least the Discovery will. The Charon can kind of move wherever it wants to move, and it's also got 2 other little ships that are going to move around and start to kind of try to play havoc with the Discovery's mission. But you're going to go ahead and, like I say, orient the little modules you put out there for the different locations with the different planets on there. And then also on the board, essentially the locations of the Discovery or the Charon, different places where you're going to move your characters in order to engage in those location actions during the game. You're also going to place a number of threat tokens on the board. Those will grow as the game continues. And you're also going to select 3 missions. You're going to randomly select 3 missions for the crew of the USS Discovery. And you're going to place those mission markers on the board. Now, there's also a number of items, a number of resources, different kinds of resources that you're going to go ahead and place in different locations on the board. Different planets will have certain of those resources. The resources are intel, dilithium, and tritanium, and the Charon is going to start with 1 of each resources on its ship. The Discovery doesn't start with any. Now you're going to go ahead and mix up a threat deck and put that beside the board. And then you're also going to have, of course, your command cards. Each side has their command cards you're going to shuffle up. Now the Discovery can go ahead and place 3 of their command cards face up on the side of the board. These are ready commands that they can possibly gain during the course of their turn, but the rest of the command cards are going to be shuffled, put to the side. Now, each character playing the game is going to start the game with 3 cards in their opening hand. Now, as I say, this is a 2 to 4 player game. This is meant to be played as a team game, so if you're just playing with 2 players, it's best to play with 2 characters each during the game. Now, on a player's turn, they're going to go ahead and draw their hand up to 3 cards if it isn't there already. They can then move their character to any location on their ship. Now, as I say, the different locations do different things during the game. Then they can go ahead and take actions. Now, first of all, your actions are you can use a location action, you can attempt to repair a location action if you have the correct cards, or if you are on the opposing player's ship, you can return to your ship as an action. Now, if you use a location action, there are different things you can do. For instance, you can go to the bridge and move the ship. You can go to the cargo bay and extract resources from the planet you are on. You can go to the brig to try to arrest somebody that is on your ship. You can use weapons to attempt to attack an enemy ship. You can use the ready room on the USS Discovery to essentially get rid of those ready command cards and put out 3 more command cards. On the Charon, you can also do those things, but you've also got a room where you can actually call for your other escorting ships to move around, to engage the Discovery, and do a few more kooky things as well. Now, each action on the Discovery or the Charon has a kind of a basic action, but you can also pay in resources a certain price to take advanced actions, which let you do the regular action, but also a little bit more. Now, one of the key things that the crew of the Charon are trying to do is infiltrate the Discovery. They're trying to get onto the Discovery and cause problems. They're going to score a lot of their cards that way. The crew of the USS Discovery, of course, they're trying to fight them. They're trying to keep that off while at the same time attempting to carry out their objectives and move to their mission spots as well. Play turn goes back and forth between a Federation character and a Mirror Universe character, back and forth like that, until one side or the other meets their mission objectives, either the missions that are set aside for the Discovery or the infiltration missions that the crew of the Charon is attempting to carry out. Now, occasionally you'll have challenges. Essentially, if you're on the same ship, you can challenge another character. Essentially, the initiator, he can play one or more cards with the card number on there. Then the person who is being challenged, they can go ahead and play one card. You'll then have opportunities to play cards from other characters in that same location that can aid the character that is challenging or the character that is being challenged. If there's any kind of bonus cards you can play, you do that at that time. And essentially, you play them down, you add up the numbers on those cards, you look at any other abilities they have, and then whoever has the highest number wins. Typically, someone who is defeated will either go to the bridge or they will be wounded. Now, if ever the Discovery enters a space with a threat marker or with enemy ships, they're going to have to go ahead and draw a threat card and resolve that threat card. And that can be, again, some more nasty surprises for the crew of the Discovery they'll have to overcome in addition to dealing with the Mirror Universe baddies. Now, there are three ways the game can end. Now, as I say, the crew of the Discovery is attempting to complete their objectives, their mission objectives, the missions. If they can go to the location in which they need to go for the mission and then spend the appropriate number of resources, they can go ahead and claim that mission. Now, once they've got all three of the missions, then the Discovery will win the game and the Mirror Universe loses. The Mirror Universe, as I say, they're trying to infiltrate the Discovery. They're trying to take over the ship and command this and gain control of the spore drive. To do that, they have to play and execute three of the infiltration cards. That usually involves challenges. If they can go ahead and do that three times, then they win the game and the Federation loses. But there's also those threat tokens. Now, periodically during the game, the Federation is going to have to place threat tokens around the board. Usually, the Federation player will be placing those threat tokens as a result of card play. The villains can also enact situations where they're placing threat tokens. But if ever the last threat token is placed on the board, space is corrupted and neither side wins the game. So whoever can fulfill their specific objectives first wins. Star Trek Discovery. Black alert. Okay, so let me just be clear. Let me get this straight right off the bat. I am not a fan of new Star Trek. I watched the first season of Star Trek Discovery. I thought it was all right. I watched the second season and I thought it was absolutely horrible. I didn't watch any of the other seasons. I heard they were bad too. Watched the first season of Picard, thought it was terrible. Didn't watch the second season. I did watch the third season of Picard, and I think the third season of Picard was actually really good. I really enjoyed that. Thus far, that is the only new Star Trek I think that is worth anything. I think Discovery is just I don't think it's true to the spirit of Star Trek. You know, end of season one. How's it end? Giant space battle, CGI space battle. Boom, boom, boom. How does season two end? Giant CGI space battle. How does season Picard season one end? Giant space battle. So you get my drift. That was never what Star Trek was about. Star Trek was never really an action adventure series, in my opinion. Now it had elements of those things, adventure certainly, but not action. To me, Star Trek was always much more science fiction drama as opposed to science fiction action. And every episode of, say, The Next Generation or the original series or Deep Space Nine was a morality play. And there were these deep moral and philosophical questions. And it seems like New Trek is just about blowing stuff up, you know? So I'm not a fan of New Trek. I think the people that are running it fundamentally don't understand it, with the exception of Terry Matalas and Picard Season 3. Okay, I've got that off. Got that off my shoulders here. Okay, so I actually was interested, though, in this game because it is a Star Trek game, and a game is not a series. And I got to tell you, in the past, I played IP games where I didn't care for the IP, but I really enjoyed the game. Case in point, I recently reviewed legendary upper deck encounters The Matrix. I was not a fan of the film The Matrix, and yet I really enjoyed the game. They did legendary Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I never cared for the show. I really enjoyed the game. So I can enjoy a game even if I don't like the IP. So I was eager to see what this is like because it is a Star Trek game, and I'm a sucker for Star Trek general as an IP, and I'm interested to see how they can game Star Trek out. So we went ahead. The good people at WizKids sent me a copy here. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to see what it can do. I'm going to take it for a test drive here. I went ahead and I played it with Ran. We played it a few times. Now, the first time we played it, we just played it as a two-player game, and it kind of fell flat. It was okay. There were some mechanics I really liked, some things I thought were pretty cool, but it kind of fell flat because you really need to play this like a team game. Now, if you have two people, then, as I say, it's better to play with two characters. So when we played our second game, that's the way we played it. We played it each playing two characters. And in that sense, where you get that idea of team play and one character being able to help out another character, it works a lot better. It seemed like when you're playing with one player, you were always working on defense. You couldn't do anything offensive that you really wanted to do. At least that's the way I felt about the game. But when I was playing two player, I felt like I had a lot more options. I felt like I was doing things a lot more. I've lost every game I played of this with Ray, but I come very, very close a few times. I I don't know what else to say. I really like this when you're playing with two characters, and I think it would shine if you actually had four players. I really do, but I think it's fun as a two-player if you're playing with two different characters, playing two-handed. That's really the way I think you got to play it. But it is fun. I like the way the spore drive thing works, and one of the things you can do, and I didn't mention this earlier, is you can actually rotate the kind of the hex tiles so that they match up to different spore lanes. So that's another action you can take is actually to rotate the hex tiles. And that's cool because you're trying to go to certain locations, but they don't work, and you need to kind of plot that out. Well, if I go here, then I can follow it. There's almost a Tusoro element of this game where you're kind of following the paths, right? But you got to go to locations to pick up resources in order to deliver them on the missions if you're playing for the discovery. And the Charon then kind of has to stop you from doing that. And then the Charon, that's fun too, because they've got all of these abilities that are just designed to stop the discovery, to screw them up. Now, my only I enjoy this. I enjoy the choices of the game. I enjoy the cards, the card play in this game. I think is really a lot of fun. So I enjoy a lot of stuff here. But I kind of wonder if it is a little imbalanced in favor of the mirror universe. And I kind of think maybe the game would have worked a little better if the missions the Federation is going after were hidden information. If the mirror universe didn't know exactly where they were going, that might make the game, it might even things out. Because it seemed like there was always some kind of a roadblock, some kind of path um, that the mirror universe, the Charon, could throw in front of Discovery to slow it down, to stop it up. Despite that, again, I really thought it was fun. I really enjoyed the gameplay as such. While I do have issues, I think it's a fun game. So, like I say, I think it's more difficult for the Federation to win here. So, I don't think the game is entirely perfectly balanced. But I've seen the Federation come close several times. So, I think it's a possibility. And I don't mind a game that is not perfectly balanced. I don't mind a game that favors one side more than the other. That makes the victory for the underdog all the sweeter when it happens. But if it's massively unbalanced, that is an issue. I don't think this game is massively unbalanced. I do think there is a little bit of favor, a little bit going on in favor of the mirror universe. But having said that, it's a fun game. I enjoyed it. I got a kick out of it. Keeping it in the collection. So recommendation for the discriminating gamer for Star Trek Discovery is be aware of these caveats, but I'm going to go ahead and say buy it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We'd ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. I'd also ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to please check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history, books on history. I even post some of my lectures on there. I'd ask you to go ahead and check that out, and please subscribe to that channel. It would mean a lot to me. Also, we'd ask you to give a thumb to this video on Board Game Geek. And if you are a fan of the channel, you like the kind of content we bring here, I'd humbly ask you to click on the Super Thanks button and leave a tip. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you an important question. How did the Vikings communicate with one another? Norse code.
Please somebody help me on my feet again. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. God knows that I love the
I love pizza.